watched my last video, you would have seen a demonstration of if, followed with demonstration of else. This is the follow-on video from that, where we'll be looking at if in a little bit more and using a different use case, and how we could also use switch to do the same thing. So in the last video, we looked at creating a login script. So in this one, we're going to create a menu system. So I'm just going to create a very basic menu system. So let's just go through some of the stuff that we already know. Okay, so this is the syntax that we are familiar with regards to if. So if the condition is true, it will do whatever is in the braces. In order to handle a false or where the true is not met, we then have an else statement. So that looks a little bit like this. So we've got the if, the condition is true. When true, do something. Else, do something else. However, there is a third part to this, and this is what we're going to explore today. What if we have an if statement, which when true, it does something, but when it's not, we then apply a different condition, another condition. So think about things like people's ages. It might be based on ages. It might be based on statistical information or something like this. Either way, we are sometimes met with different conditions. So here we've got if condition is true, and when it's true, we do something. If else is the next step, and that's what we're going to explore today. If else. So if else, we then have a different condition, and if this is true, then we do something. If not, you might have a series of else ifs. And then finally, as per normal, we have an else just in case everything else before it is false. So we're going to be looking at that today, and then we'll also explore switch. Okay, let's get straight into the demo. Okay, so this is where we were yesterday with the power of if. I'm going to create a new class today. So new Java class. I'm going to call this if or switch, because that's what we're going to explore today. And as per normal, we need this to run, so I'm going to create a main method. Let's zoom in on this a bit. The scenario today we're going to look at is a menu, in particular a menu for communication. Okay, so in this menu, what we're going to do is we're going to present the user with some options, and we're going to use some very basic menu techniques here, but hopefully it will actually demonstrate to you exactly what the else if is used for, and you can then relate to any other product with that utility. Let's get started. So I'm just going to have something very basic, as I said to you. So a main menu. We're just going to have a series of options. So let's do one, and I think we'll just go for something like display hello. Let's have another one. Do two, and let's have display goodbye. And have three, and I think in this case we'll use the X. We're just going to have exit program. So those are the three options that we're going to use. Now, because we're expecting the user to enter this information, we now need to set up the scanner. So we'll do that. And as you can see, the scanner library has just been installed. Do this, new scanner, and it's going to be system.in. You will learn other scanners later on. Scanner reader equals new scanner, and then system in. We're going to give the user an opportunity to make a choice. So I'm just going to do a simple system out, but this is going to be on the same line. So let's just do that and simply make your entry. And what I'll do, just to make it clear, do something like that. So we have a 1, 2, or an X. So let's create a string, because we've got the X as well, so we're not using integers. The string is going to be the entry, and that is going to equal whatever we get in the reader. Now, I showed you before this method, so we're going to do it to lowercase, and also we're going to trim it as well, just in case the user enters a space. If you want to know more about that, look in the last video. That's allowing the entry. So let's have the if statement. So if, and we're going to say entry dot equals, and then inside there we're just going to have 1. like so. And I've done it as a string, so you'll notice I've got the speech marks. If entry equals 1. So if entry equals 1, let's just output hello. So this is where that else if comes in. So else if, open bracket, entry dot equals 2. And let's pop something in for there. So system out, goodbye. Okay, put a little exclamation mark on the end. Not sure why I've done that. Now, some of you might just go, well, actually, I'm just going to do an else, and that will be exit program. So exit program. That would be fair, but we've not actually stated that. We've actually said that we want the user to type in X. So let's just do that. So we'll do entry dot equals and X. And you notice I used the lowercase x because we are transferring the information into lowercase as well. And that will system.out println and then exit program. We can actually put in a command, and I'll show you what that command is now. So we're going to use a system.exit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the int status to 0. And that basically means if everything goes fine, then it should just exit out. And finally, we'll do an else. And I'm just going to do for the else, that will be entry not recognized. So basically, it's saying that the entry hasn't been recognized, so it won't perform the task. So let's just walk through this a moment. So we've got this first if statement. The if statement is stating if it equals 1, then system out println hello. Else if entry equals 2, system out println goodbye. Else if entry equals X, system.out println exit program, and then it will run this exit program. Else system.out println entry not recognized. Let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so we've printed the main menu and we've got our choices. So let's pop in the first choice, 1. Fantastic, that works. Let's rerun this and see if 2 works now. 2. Good, that works okay too. Right, let's try the X. Exit program, and it's done that without any problems as well. Fantastic. Finally, let's just put something weird. There you go. Entry not recognized. So I'm happy that all of those work. So this is a way of using the else if statement. So this is where I may have several responses or several different responses from the user. So we're seeing that if this is true, do this. If this is true, do that. If this is true, do this. Else, entry hasn't been recognized. Okay, so that's one way of writing this. Let's have a look at what a switch statement is so that you can get a feel for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply highlight this and comment it out. By the way, if you're interested, I use the control and / to comment out a whole group. So I highlight it first and then hit control and /. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what we call a switch statement. And a switch statement works very similar to this if statement and the else if. So let's have a look at that. In our example, we are using the string entry to determine what the user enters in. So we're going to stick with using that. So let's build a switch around the entry. So switch, open bracket, entry, like so. Okay, and I need to put the braces in. So everything inside this is going to determine what is going to happen with the switch. Each else if you like, is based on what we call a case. So I'm going to put a case in, and the case is going to be 1, like so. And I finish that with a colon. And then I simply do a system out hello. Looks familiar, doesn't it? So now what I do is I do a case again, but this time it'll be a case 2. And we do a system out goodbye. Now let's do another case, and this is going to be X system out. And for this one, we're going to do the exit program, as well as the system.exit and then 0. So it's the same as what we had before. Okay, so now I need to create a default keyword. Now the default keyword is simply anything else. So consider this a bit like the else. So let's just do default, like so. And we'll just do system out, entry not recognized. What I will need to do is create a break. What the break does is it breaks out of the switch block. This will stop it from running any other cases following after the one that it stops at. So what I'm going to do is just simply put a break on each one, like so. And just to make it easier for myself, I'm just going to copy that, paste, paste. And notice with the X, because there are 2 lines, I have put it at the end of the statement. So it is going at the end of the statement and not midway through, because we don't want it to break until it's finished running all the commands within that switch statement. Now, the one thing I won't do is I'm not going to put a break on the default, mainly because, well, for one thing, this is at the end of the switch, but also I don't really want it to break out of the switch. Okay. So let's try this and run it and see what happens. So it looks very similar to what we had before. So let's try 1. Okay, that seemed to work fine. Now let's use 2. Good, that's okay. Now let's use X. Excellent, that works. And what if I just try something like that? Brilliant. So it works in exactly the same way. So I suppose the question is, why would you use one over the other? Well, I guess it's down to you and your preference. The reason why I would pick the switch for this type of scenario is it's so easy to read. As you can see, I'm just doing what I'm expected. So the case 1, case 2, case X, that all makes perfect sense to me. We've got the entry at the top. So in terms of reading this, it's a lot easier to read. With the if statement, you can see that there's a lot of stuff going on here. And although it's fairly easy to read, I would say that the switch statement just has the edge on that. I hope you've learned something from this, and if you have, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, why don't you subscribe to my channel and then hit that bell notification, and once I upload another video, you'll get a notification. That's the end of the power of if. You've seen now parts 1 and part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, I would recommend having a quick look at it because I've also introduced some extra little bits. I'll see you again. Take care.